Welcome to my channel Starlight Sci-Fi Stories. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe. Owen Cross had never expected to stand in the heart of a royal palace, wearing boots patched with duct tape and a jacket stitched together from emergency hull sealant. Outer space trading had taught him three truths. Never trust a fusion coil that hummed in B-flat. Always maintain your cargo bay doors regardless of cost. And never, under any circumstances, expect to meet royalty in patched pants. And yet, here he was, starring at floating holographic contracts while trying not to think about the fact that his left boot might explode if he stepped too hard. The palace orbited Meridian 7 like a jewel suspended in velvet. Its stabilizers vibrated at frequencies that made Owen's teeth ache pleasantly, while the entire interior seemed to laugh at his human limitations. Floors repelled dust at the molecular level, air filtration was worth more than his entire ship, and light hung perfectly in the air, bending just enough to make everything look better than it was. He had dealt with ministers before, but he had never expected to meet Queen Celebra herself. She entered without a word. Ministers scattered like water before a stone, and all eyes turned to her. To look at her was to feel your insignificance. Her skin shimmered in shades of deep violet and blue like the twilight oceans of Earth. Her hair was metallic gold, flowing and reflective, catching every photon in the room. A neural sync collar hugged her neck, connecting her directly to the palace systems, while her ears curved back elegantly, ending beyond her hair like the wings of some alien bird. Owen tried to focus on the contracts floating in front of him, muttering about tariffs on dilithium derivatives, but then everything froze. Her eyes, golden and molten in hue, locked onto something at his waist. Owen followed her gaze. Hanging from a frayed cord on his belt was a small token, worn, carved, barely the size of his thumb, a crude carving of either a bird or a ship. He had carried it for years, mostly forgetting it existed. "Where did you obtain this?" The Queen's voice was soft, but it cut through the room like a blade. Owen swallowed. "It's just a good luck charm, someone gave it to me." Her attendants tensed, hands drifting toward weapons he couldn't see. Owen's stomach sank. The Queen's composure, legendary across 3 star systems, was breaking. "Who gave it to you?" "Someone I helped," Owen said cautiously. "Years ago. They didn't have much, so they gave me this, I guess, as a thanks." A long silence filled the room, like standing in an airlock with the outer door open. The Queen took a step closer. Her eyes didn't just look at him, they seemed to examine every part of his soul. "Do you know who this person really was?" Owen's mind raced. No, he didn't. All he remembered was that she had been scared, desperate, and in need of help. He shrugged. "I didn't ask. It wasn't my place. I just helped them get somewhere safe." "Leave us," the Queen said, her voice low but absolute. The attendants filed out silently, leaving Owen alone with her. Alone with the most powerful person in 3 worlds, who now looked at him with something raw beneath her composure: fear, shock, maybe hope. The doors sealed with a soft whisper. Owen's survival instinct screamed. He calculated escape speeds in his head. Too slow. Whatever this was, it wasn't going to involve weapons drawn. It was something much more dangerous. "I need you to tell me about them," the Queen said slowly. "Everything you remember." Owen touched the token reflexively. He thought back a decade. His ship had been smaller, patched together, barely space-worthy. He was carrying medical supplies to the refugee camps on Tarsus 6, a moon racked by political chaos. The camps were crowded, disorganized, people desperate and angry. That's when he met her, a young woman with blue skin, short hair hacked unevenly, and eyes that kept scanning exits even when he tried to help. She asked for passage off-world, anywhere. She had no money, no identification, nothing but fear. Owen had no reason to question her. The ship was rated for 6, but he ran it mostly alone and he had a spare cabin. He shrugged. "Fine, I can help, just don't break anything." Over 6 days, she stayed mostly in her cabin. She ate little, slept less. She didn't talk much, only whispered when necessary. Owen tried to keep his focus on piloting, but he remembered her scanning the ship constantly, checking routes, mapping exits in her mind. The kind of vigilance that comes from someone who's been hunted. On the final day, she came to the bridge and pressed the small carved token into his hand. "You need to keep this," she said. "It matters. You mattered." Owen had thought it was just a charm, something to fidget with. He had no idea what it really was. Back in the present, the Queen watched him intently. She was quiet now, trembling slightly. "You kept it?" she asked, voice barely a whisper. "All these years?" "Yes," Owen said, feeling suddenly exposed. "It reminded me of, well, that helping someone matters, even if it didn't feel like it at the time." The Queen's composure broke further. Her hands trembled and she moved closer. "You saved my life. You didn't know, you didn't care who I was. You just helped me because it was right. That small act changed everything." Owen blinked. "Wait, what? You're saying that's you?" "Yes," she said, voice tight with memories that still had teeth. "I was running from a coup, my family destroyed, my home taken. You gave me passage without asking questions, without knowing anything. That token is the last piece of my family's legacy, and you carried it." He stared at the small carved object, suddenly feeling its weight differently. It wasn't just wood. It was history, survival, proof that one human decision, one small act of kindness, could ripple through time and change the fate of an entire star system. Owen tried to hand it back, ashamed at holding something so important. I didn't know. I would have never." The Queen stopped him, placing a hand over his. Her touch was cool, deliberate. "No, you don't understand. You kept it because it mattered. Not its value, not its power. But because it reminded you that what you did, what humans do, matters. That is priceless." Owen felt a lump in his throat. He had spent years surviving pirate attacks, customs inspections, and failed contracts, never realizing that this tiny object had saved him, in ways he couldn't see. "You were kind when it mattered," the Queen said softly. "And in doing so, you changed everything. You gave me a chance to survive, to return, to reclaim what was mine. And all because you acted without thinking of reward." Owen nodded, words failing him. The room seemed smaller now, the holographic contracts irrelevant. He was just a trader, a human. Staring at the blue-skinned Queen, who had once been a frightened refugee. "And now," she said, pulling back slightly, "I need you to understand something. That token, your act, it has guided me. I have made choices in governance, in diplomacy, in defense based on the question, what would Owen Cross do?" Owen laughed softly, a humor tinged with disbelief. "Me, I just helped someone get off a moon." "That's the human difference," she said. "You act without expecting reward. You remember moments, not value. That is why humanity thrives even among stars." He looked at her, suddenly seeing her not as a sovereign, but as someone who had once been powerless, scared, and desperate. And in that moment, he understood what HFY meant. Humans could shape history not with armies or technology alone, but with quiet acts of courage, simple decisions to help another being in need. Owen's hand drifted back to the token. It felt heavier, not in mass, but in significance. He realized that his life as a trader, his small victories, his misadventures, his constant survival had all led to this moment. A human had mattered, and through that human choice, an entire royal line had survived. The Queen's gaze softened. "I searched for you for years," she admitted. "I thought you had lost it, sold it, or forgotten, but you didn't. You carried it through failures, through danger, through every hard year." Owen shrugged. "I guess. It reminded me that doing the right thing can mean something, even if you don't see it right away." Her lips curved in a faint, relieved smile. "Exactly. That is the human difference. That is why humans endure. That is why humanity matters." Owen exhaled, letting the tension leave his shoulders. The palace was still grand, still alien, but it no longer seemed insurmountable. He was just a human, but he had changed history without knowing it. and in the quiet hum of the royal palace, surrounded by light, gold, and violet skin, a trader and a queen shared a moment that would ripple through time, proving that even the smallest acts of humanity could shape the stars themselves. The palace halls seemed quieter after their conversation, though the hum of advanced machinery and the faint sparkle of floating light remained. Owen Cross walked beside Queen Selivra, still clutching the carved token that had shaped their lives. He had always thought of himself as a simple trader, a man who survived on quick thinking, patched equipment, and occasional luck. Yet, in the presence of someone who had once been a frightened refugee, he realized that humans could mean far more than anyone ever expected. "You know," Owen said carefully, "I've been flying ships for years, surviving pirate raids, customs inspections, and near-death experiences. And for all that, I never thought a small wooden charm would be the most important thing I'd ever touch." Selivra's golden eyes followed him as they walked through a corridor filled with iridescent plants under artificial sunlight. "That is the human difference, Owen. You act without thinking of reward, without considering your own safety, and yet the universe responds. You changed my life, and in doing so, you have shaped countless others." He shrugged, letting the token hang between his fingers. "I didn't think about shaping anything. I just helped someone in trouble." "That someone," she said, her voice softening, "was me. And what you did gave me the chance to reclaim what was stolen, to survive when others would have left me dead." They reached a wide observation deck overlooking Meridian 7. The planet rotated slowly below them, oceans deep and blue, continents green and alive, cities sparkling with countless lights. Selivra paused, pressing a hand against the force field window. "I searched for you for years after taking back my throne. I sent agents, asked trade networks quietly, checked every registration I could find. But you had vanished, Owen. You were always one step ahead, a ghost among the stars." Owen tried to hide a grin. Professional elusiveness keeps creditors guessing, and helps avoid assassination attempts occasionally. Selivra's lips twitched into a small smile. "A ghost who kept my family's legacy in his pocket for 10 years. She touched the token lightly, and Owen felt the cool weight of history under her fingertips. "I assumed it was gone, lost, or sold. But you carried it, remembered it, treated it like it mattered. That is extraordinary." He nodded slowly. "I guess. It reminded me that doing something right can have meaning, even if you don't see it immediately." "Yes," she said, "and that is why humans endure. You think small, simple acts won't matter, but they ripple outward. One choice one moment can change history." Owen looked at the token again. He had survived countless dangers carrying a simple charm. It had protected him in ways he hadn't understood until now. The inspector on Telos 4 had treated him like honored cargo instead of a smuggler. Pirates had hesitated. Even small debts and contracts had suddenly turned in his favor, all because of something he thought was a charm. Now he realized it was a symbol of something far larger, the enduring value of humanity. Selivra turned to face him. "I must make this official." Her hand hovered over the token. "By royal decree, this heirloom is yours. Not stolen, not borrowed, not held in violation of any protocols. It is a gift from the crown to Owen Cross, independent trader, in recognition of what you did, the courage, the kindness, the humanity you showed." Owen blinked. "I wait, you can do that." "I am a queen," Selivra said simply. "I can do whatever I wish. This is one of the few perks of having a throne." A holographic document materialized beside the floating contracts. Selivra gestured to it. "Sign this, and the token becomes officially yours. Complete legal ownership. Even customs officials can't question it." Owen took a deep breath, still overwhelmed. He looked at the token carved centuries ago, now worn smooth by years of human touch. The tiny bird-shaped crest, the symbol of Selivra's family, was something he had carried without understanding. And now he did. It was proof that a human's choice, one simple act of helping a stranger, could echo across time and space. He signed the document with trembling fingers, watching the holographic seal activate. The token felt different now, heavier, not in mass, but in importance. A moment of kindness had rippled forward, shaping 2 lives and perhaps the fate of worlds. Selivra smiled, a rare, genuine smile. "You have changed the course of my life, Owen. That is worth more than all the riches in the galaxy." Owen laughed softly. "I'm just a trader. I patch ships, dodge pirates, haul cargo. I didn't set out to change anyone's life." "That is precisely why it matters," she said. "You act without expectation. Humans are extraordinary because they create consequences without seeking them. That is the heart of humanity." They walked back toward the throne room, the holographic contracts waiting silently. Owen had expected negotiation, perhaps conflict over tariffs and agreements. But for now they walked together, 2 beings bound by something far more valuable: shared history, trust, and the quiet proof that kindness matters. "About those contracts," Owen started, half joking, "are we still negotiating?" Selivra laughed, golden eyes twinkling. "Of course. But know this, trader, I will be much harder to bargain with now that I know you are sentimental enough to carry a refugee's gift for 10 years. "That seems unfair," Owen said. "Being fair is for people who aren't queens," she replied, moving gracefully toward the floating holograms. "Besides, you saved my life. The least I can do is give you a challenge." Owen smiled, feeling a lightness he hadn't felt in years. He glanced at the token on his belt, now legally his, now heavy with meaning. It wasn't about money or power. It wasn't about politics. It was about the ripple of human choice and how even one small decision, one act of kindness, could alter the course of lives, even empires. Over the following days, Owen continued his work. He negotiated contracts, moved cargo, and repaired ships. Yet the universe felt different now. When he met another trader in need, he remembered how a simple act had changed a queen's life. When he faced danger, he recalled how a small token, carried without thought, had guided him. Humanity mattered, not in grand gestures, but in quiet decisions, the choice to act well when it counted. Selivra, seated once more on her throne, reflected often on Owen's actions. She governed with his example in mind. Small acts, thoughtful choices, courage without expectation of reward. Her policies were stronger, more just, and more human than they might have been otherwise. And in moments of doubt, she would touch the token on her desk, proof that one human, acting without thought of power or gain, could shape the fate of worlds. One evening, Owen returned to his ship, patched and battered as always. He touched the token, now safely encased in a small protective frame. He smiled. It was a reminder that even when the universe felt vast, lonely, and indifferent, humans could make a difference. They could save lives, create hope, and alter history, not with armies or advanced tech, but with courage, kindness, and simple, enduring choice. He started the engines, feeling the familiar rumble beneath his feet. Stars stretched ahead, a trail of light leading to countless unknown worlds. And as he set course for the next station, he understood something fundamental about humanity. It did not wait for recognition, it did not seek glory, and it did not ask for reward. It acted, quietly, bravely, and inevitably changed the galaxy. Owen Cross was just a trader, just a human, and yet he had shaped history. He had held a small token for 10 years, unknowingly guarding the future of a royal line. He had chosen to help without thought, to act without calculation, and in doing so he had become something extraordinary, a proof that humans mattered, even among stars. The galaxy spun on, indifferent to most, but attentive to those who dared to act with courage. Owen crossed through the void, carrying hope, carrying kindness, and carrying the quiet, unassuming power that only humans seemed to possess. The carved token rested on his belt, smooth and simple, yet more valuable than any treasure. And Owen smiled, thinking of the blue-skinned refugee he had helped years ago, now the Queen of Worlds, forever tied to a human's quiet choice. He had no crown, no throne, and no title. Only a ship, a token, and the knowledge that one human, acting well, could change everything. And that, Owen realized, was the truest measure of humanity.